Hi again, everybody. It's time for the Big Blue Breakdown, the Game Balls and Gassers edition for the New York Giants and their 22-9 home opening loss to the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football at MetLife Stadium. I'm Paul Dottino. The Giants have fallen to 0-3, and this night did not start out well when they learned just before kickoff that veteran kicker Graham Gano had strained his groin. That would be a problem that would hurt the Giants throughout the course of the game, not understanding exactly where he was and what his capabilities would be. Although he had told the coaching staff he thought there might be a chance that he could kick up to about 40 yards. In any event, at that late hour, it was too late for them to do anything with their kicking situation other than to go to punter Jamie Gillen and talk to him about what he might be able to do as a kicker. He had done some kicking at the Arkansas Pine Bluff during his college days. Anyway, Gano did wind up kicking a 25-yard field goal early in the fourth quarter to bring the Giants to within 16-9. But that was the only time he would be pressed into duty during the course of the evening. In fact, Gillen wound up getting an extra point blocked in the second quarter that left the Giants with a 6-6 ball game before the Chiefs wound up getting a late first half field goal and taking a 9-6 lead going into the locker room. All right, let's go over a general overview of some of the generic things that the Giants would have liked and not liked coming out of this game. What would they have liked? Well, offensively, it was that they did get some semblance of a running game going. They wound up with 27 attempts for 130 yards on the ground. That's nearly 5 yards a carry. That was certainly one of the best elements of the Giants' evening. Otherwise, there wasn't a whole lot to be really pleased about. They did cut their penalties down from the Dallas game to 7 accepted flags for 82 yards. In general, outside of that kicking situation, the kick coverage was good. The return game was good. But once again, the injury to Gano made the whole kicking situation rather sticky. What did you like also? The fact that it was a one-score game early in the fourth quarter, and they were still right there, despite the fact that Kansas City had certainly made more plays than the Giants to that point. Eventually, Kansas City would wind up wearing them down, making enough plays on both sides of the ball that the Giants did not make, and that's why they improved their record to 1-2. Among the things that I'm sure the coaching staff is not happy with, 1 for 10 offensively on third down conversions and 1 for 4 on fourth down conversions. You can't be happy if you look at 1 for 3 in terms of touchdowns on 3 red zone opportunities. That's not going to work very often either. And of course, -2 in turnovers. Russell Wilson was picked off twice. The Giants failed on their opportunities to take away the ball. There were 2 fumbles by the Chiefs. Giants did not get either one of them. Might have been an interception or 2. They certainly could have had a chance at, but they were unable to grab those as well. Kansas City, 8 of 15 on third down conversions, and that doesn't bode very well. Although, if you really wanted to look at something somewhat positive, Giants only gave up 306 total yards of offense. They allowed less than 4 yards a carry. As I flop to the other side of this ledger, the Chiefs were 2 for 3 in red zone efficiency in terms of scoring touchdowns. All right, so where do the Giants stand right now? Well, they've got the Los Angeles Chargers coming in on Sunday. The Chargers are undefeated, and Tyrone Tracy left this game early with a shoulder injury that knocked him out of the game for the rest of the evening. And quite honestly, they'll be waiting to get more information from the trainers on Monday morning to find out exactly how serious his shoulder is and if he is going to be expected to miss any time. So that's a general overview of how this game went for the Giants. Let's go right to our game balls and gassers because there's really no sense in wasting any time. On offense, we got to go to Cam Skattebo. Now, Skattebo did a really fine job in both the running game and the passing game. Not only did he plunge in for another rushing touchdown, this one was from 13 yards out late in the second quarter that made it a 6-6 game. Skattebo finished with 60 yards on 10 carries with the score, and that 13-yard plunge turned out to be the Giants' second longest run of the day. Russell Wilson did have a 14-yard scramble. Skattebo also with 6 catches for 61 yards, a long of 21, this coming on 8 targets. So that's 120 yards of total offense for Skattebo on the night. So for the second weekend in a row, Skattebo was providing a spark for this offense, and you could tell how fired up he gets with yards after contact, and he does get his teammates going. So that is certainly a plus moving forward for the rookie running back. On defense, the game ball has to go to edge rusher Brian Burns. Now, there was at one point where he went down during a play, and the trainers had to come out and kind of get him squared away, and as he was able to walk off to the sideline. But then he came back just a couple of snaps later. Burns finished with 6 tackles, a sack, 2 passes defensed, and a couple of quarterback hits. They did also credit him with a forced fumble. That was on a backwards pass. There were 2 of them by Patrick Mahomes, which were charged as fumbles, but the Chiefs wound up recovering both of them. Those, of course, were 2 of the takeaway opportunities that I mentioned earlier that the Giants were unable to get a handle on. But Burns continues, despite having all kinds of attention drawn to him by the other team's offensive lines, he continues to fight forward. And even when he does get nicked up, he's right back in there as quickly as possible and is always pushing the pedal to the metal. He's just a very, very impressive defensive player to have on your team. And I've got to go with the defensive game ball for Brian Burns. On special teams, we're going to go to linebacker Neville Hewitt. Now, he's always been a good special teams player throughout the course of his career. He's played for 3 other teams, including the Jets, and occasionally had opportunities to start and play linebacker. Well, he just got activated by the Giants off the practice squad in this Sunday night game, did have 2 special teams tackles, and also downed one of Jamie Gillen's punts inside the 20-yard line. So we're going to go with Hewitt as the special teams game ball for the Giants in this game against the Kansas City Chiefs. We go to the gassers. Now, this is a tough one because offensively, the Giants just did not do enough during the course of the game. I mean, we told you that they were 1 for 10 on 3rd down, and Brian Daboll very much knows that when you're 1 for 10 on 3rd down, that's got to be an indictment on the entire unit. Now, I think it's important to note that, again, they were only down by 1 score early in the 4th quarter after Gano's field goal. So the game was still up for grabs, and they still had an opportunity to try to at least get this thing tied or going to overtime. But what we're going to wind up doing on the gassers, we're going to have to go to Russell Wilson. As great as he was against the Dallas Cowboys, Wilson finishes 18 of 32 for 160 yards. He was sacked twice, and he did throw 2 interceptions. Now, let's talk about the interceptions for just a moment because I think it's important to understand what happened on those plays. Both of the interceptions came in the second quarter, and this comes on a day when the Giants only had two plays, both passes of more than 20 yards on the night. Now, the first interception is midway through the period. Giants are 3rd and 7 from their own 29, and they're down only 6-0. And Wilson goes down the middle of the field with a long bomb trying to hit Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, Robinson is double covered, and in fact, there's a third Chief in the vicinity, but Wilson said he thought he was just going to try to see if he could make a play. And so Roland Wallace comes up with the interception on a ball that was hung up there and a bit underthrown, and it was on a post. And then the Chiefs defender came back and returned it to the Giants 47. As it turned out, the Chiefs wound up missing a field goal wide right on that series. So it didn't do any damage in terms of the scoreboard, but it was a lost opportunity for the Giants offense on a night when points were going to be at a premium. Now, on the Giants' ensuing drive, they wind up going 8 plays and 70 yards. They get the Scatterboo touchdown. Again, they wind up with the blocked extra point. So it's 6-6. Chiefs get the ball back, and, they don't do anything with it. It's a 3-and-out. So the Giants defense does its job. And then on 2nd down and 6 from the Chiefs' 22-yard line. And this is a really, well, you could say it is the turning point of the game for the Giants. And when it all truly went south, Wilson tries to throw a jump ball deep into the back right corner of the end zone, where Watson is trailing Malik Neighbors. Now, the ball was lofted high. It was short. Neighbors ran out of room, and Watson made the only play that could be made on the ball because he was underneath the receiver. And he, of course, comes up with the interception and the touchback with only 49 seconds left in the half. So this turnover becomes critical because not only did the Giants not get an opportunity to score, and again, we understand that Gano was hurt, so who knows about their opportunity to kick a field goal. Whether or not he would have made it, who's to say? Or perhaps the Giants would have gone in for a touchdown. The point is, this was a chance to score points that had been eliminated by the throw. Again, Wilson said he was trying to give Neighbors a chance to make a play. I think certainly if he had to do it over again, he would have thrown the ball out of bounds. This is not the kind of mistake you expect Wilson to make. 14 years in the league, and his interception to touchdown ratio is incredibly terrific. But this was not a great decision. In any event, the Chiefs come right back, and they go down the field in those last 49 seconds, and on the final play of the half, Butker kicks a 28-yard field goal. And, well, we'll talk about a penalty that was involved that gave them a huge chunk of yardage and put them at the scoring range. But that puts the Giants down 9-6 as they go into the locker room at halftime. Well, you can clearly see that that's going to be a turning point in the game. Well, it becomes even a bigger turning point because the Chiefs get the ball to start the second half. And they get the double dip. So the Giants, who are in a 6-6 ball game, have the turnover, and then the Chiefs wind up scoring 2 times in a row before the Giants ever see the ball, because the Chiefs take the third quarter kickoff and go 11 plays and 74 yards, and Thornton catches a 5-yard touchdown pass on a slant, making it 16-6. Kansas City with about 8.5 minutes left in the third quarter. So you understand why that interception became such a linchpin? Because from 6-6, it becomes 16-6. Giants down by 2 scores. That was it. They were never able to climb that mountain again for the rest of the evening. The Giants did actually make a momentary comeback, but they weren't able to get any points out of it. They go 12 plays and 53 yards. The drive starts with about 6 minutes left in the game. They are down at this point now 22-9, and they get all the way down to the Chiefs' 10-yard line. And on 3rd and goal, Wilson winds up throwing the ball away incomplete, couldn't find anybody, and there was pressure. And then on 4th and goal from the 10, pressure again, couldn't find anybody, and throws that ball away too. So with 2.5 minutes left, the Chiefs take over on downs at their own 10-yard line with a 22-9 lead, and the game is over there. Had the Giants been able to punch it in and score a touchdown, well, if you give them 6, and again, you can't assume the extra point given their situation, that would have made the score 22-15. Giants still would have been within 1 score with 2.5 minutes to go, and you just don't know exactly what might have happened, but they still would have been alive and had some breath left. As a matter of fact, the Chiefs did go 3 and out. Giants using their timeouts and an incompletion by the Chiefs. The Giants did get the ball back with 2:04 to play. Again, you never know what could have happened there in those final 2 minutes or so. Heck, we saw in Dallas the week prior how many changes of possession and scores could happen inside the final 3 minutes of a football game. So, be that as it may, a very tough night for Russell Wilson. On defense, we're going to have to give our gas to Drew Phillips. And this is very upsetting in one way because he has made so many plays over the course of these 3 weeks. And again, with his career high 11 tackles, along with an interception and several passes defensed against Dallas in week 2, you look in week 3, and there were a number of plays that Drew Phillips made again. And you hate to say it, but there were 2 big plays that he was unable to make. There was the very, very costly pass interference call inside the final minute when the Chiefs had a 3rd down and 10 from their own 32. This is 3 snaps before the end of the first half. I'm going back to that drive that we spoke about after Wilson's second interception, and an illegal contact call on Phillips, pass interference, gives the Chiefs first down at the Giants' 37-yard line. That's illegal let me take this back. It gives the Chiefs, after illegal contact, a 5-yard penalty, first down from their 37. Then the pass interference penalty. It was back-to-back penalties on Phillips. He gets hit for a 52-yard pass interference penalty, makes it first down at the Giants' 11. So let me make sure I get that right. 2 consecutive penalties on Phillips. 1 gives them an automatic first down on a 3rd down and 10 on an incompletion. The ball was actually dropped by the Chiefs receiver. It was Juju Smith-Schuster. And then the pass interference when he was tied up with Hollywood Brown gave the Chiefs a first down at the Giants' 11-yard line. And then after an incompletion, Butker kicks the 28-yard field goal. So it's a needless 3 points for Kansas City as they take a 9-6 lead right there. And then later on in the game, Another unfortunate play involving Drew Phillips. It is a 3rd and 10 from the Giants' 34. This is with about 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It is 16-9 Kansas City. And Thornton, on a jump ball, is able to wrestle a 33-yard Mahomes heave. Mahomes was under pressure, lollipopped it up near the goal line, and Thornton was able to wrestle it away and come down with it at the Giants 1 to set up a 1st and goal. Phillips was unable to knock it down or knock it out of Thornton's hands. And then Kareem Hunt went in for a 1-yard touchdown plunge, and that made it 22-9 Kansas City with 5:56, 6:03 actually, 6:03 left in the fourth quarter as I continue to go through my scribbled notes during the course of the game. So Drew Phillips, unfortunately, was the victim of a spectacular catch by Thornton. We talk about making plays above the X's and the O's, and he certainly did there. On special teams, can't really give out a gasser. I mean, Gillen is not the Giants' regular kicker, and the Chiefs got penetration on the line, and his point after attempt in the first half was knocked down for a block. I'm not going to criticize Gillen, who's kicking in an emergency situation, and I'm certainly not going to give a gasser to Graham Gano because of the injury right before kickoff. It was unfortunate.